Okay, 2 batches of soap for my son made. I had to go out and get ingredients, and whew, that lemongrass smell is strong when you're just breathing over it. Okay, it's got to harden up overnight, and then tomorrow we can cut it. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tony from Her Homestead Skills. I finally got a minute to do a video, and so I'm sitting here. It's quite warm out, which is nice. It's not really hot, but it is warm. It has rained overnight, so I didn't go to the garden this morning. And I really need to go to the garden, so I'm hoping tomorrow will be a good day to do that. I believe that the smoke has cleared a bit. I know I was outside and I wasn't suffering too much, but let me tell you, I've been coughing the last couple of days, and I'm sure the smoke has got a lot to do with it. I don't have a cold, but I'm sure I've got an irritation from breathing in that smoke. So yeah, I've been doing my best to stay out of it. Anyway, this morning I did need to run a few chores. I did say that I had 3 items that I wanted to do at the last little while, and they've both taken, all 3 of them have taken me a little longer than I'd expected. Completed the last one today, but I did have to go out shopping for it, and that was to make my son some soap. And we'd agreed on a double batch, and I figured that doing a double batch at one time would be, you know, it's the same amount of work, pretty much. I just have to line 2 containers instead of 1, and later I'll have to cut 2 big bars of soap into individual bars. I get approximately 15 to 16 bars. If I cut them really nice, I'll only get about 15, but since I'm not selling them per se, they are going to my son, so rather than leaving slivers at the end, I leave him as large a piece as possible and make it useful. And yeah, and no color, but tons of scent. The boy likes his lemongrass, so we make lemongrass soap for him. And to date, yeah, he's the only one that I make soap for anymore, which is fine. My days of really, really enjoying them and making soap every single day are gone. So didn't find that a profitable business. You win some, you lose some, you know, just the way it works. Sometimes you put in a lot of effort and you get no return, and all you have to do is keep trying. Maybe the next time around something will work. So never give up, keep trying. Same thing goes for canning. I have heard that a number of people said that they are afraid of canning. So if you're afraid of pressure canning, I recommend that you start with water bath canning, because that is so easy. There's no worry about pressure can exploding, at least in your mind, because that's the only way it works. Today, all the equipment is safety oriented, and they all have a little blowout plug should you forget to turn off the stove and the thing runs dry and it overheats. Yeah, the little plug will blow out, so it won't explode. You might have a nice mess to clean up, or you might want to throw the whole thing out to the garbage if it gets that bad, but it will not explode, so there's nothing to fear. But I highly recommend that you start off with water bath canning if you've never canned before. And that is really simple. Most of the things that you can make are things like jams. So fruits and jams are definitely water bath canning. You can certainly do peaches. And I think peach season is coming up for many of you. For us, it's a little later in the fall. But certainly berries. You can can up berries and you can make all kinds of jams. And I've got some videos with 3 ingredients jams, not even using pectin, just using the berries, sugar, and lemon juice acts as a pectin, or has tons of pectin in it, so it helps for the berries to thicken up if they don't on their own. Now, some berries don't even require any. I'll tell you that strawberries do. They don't have enough pectin on their own to make it firm. But cranberries, you don't need anything to firm those babies up. just sugar and cranberries, and they will firm up just fine on their own. You have a nice big hunk of cranberry sauce for Christmas or for Thanksgiving, and I make cranberries every year. Now, to add more flavor, you might want to add orange flavoring of some sort. So yes, I highly recommend that you look into some of these recipes that are strictly for water bath canning, because that is the stepping stone. I mean, that's where we started. And my tomato juice, I water bath can, and you can do a lot with tomatoes. So I wouldn't stay away from canning because you're terrified, because yes, it can be frightening. I know that. The very first time I did any pressure canning, I babysat that can, that pot the whole time. I didn't take my eyes off it. I was terrified too, and I couldn't wait until I could turn the heat off underneath it and breathe a sigh of relief. But let me tell you, you do it once, you do it twice, and after a while you stop fussing over it and you stop worrying about it. You just, once you get your pressure up and you time it properly, you know, you follow the steps, you do what you have to do, and you can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong. Yeah, you may lose a jar here and there. A seal may not seal properly here and there. It happens to all of us. Don't kid yourself, even I lose a jar here and there. It's when you're losing more than one is when you got to rethink what's going on, or have you got a bad lot of lids, or are you doing something wrong, and rethink the process. But it's rare. I think in most cases people will lose one jar. So and that is always worth trying. It's always worth trying, because the benefit far outweighs the negatives. And you know, there was a time a few years back, I think, that there was this big thing on the internet, and yes, I was watching in those days, about whether or not it was economical to can, or whether it was just people were just doing it for the sake of, you know, they like to can. Well, I'll tell you, in this day and age, it absolutely is economical. It is a money saver. So I know that you can buy cans of vegetables and cans of fruit, but you know what? Once you've bought your jars, you replace the lids, but the cost of filling them, if you do it right, if you buy things on sale, or if you buy your fruits and vegetables in the fall when the farms have them in abundance and are selling them by bushels and by large quantities in order to get as much product to market as they possibly can, that is when you get the bargains. So I highly recommend that you do rethink and try to do some canning this season. So don't be afraid, it's not going to bite you. So yes, I did have to go out and buy some ingredients for my son's soap, and yeah, I did get sticker shock again. I always put lard in soap, and here I have no means of rendering lard. I don't even know if you can buy it that way. I know it's fairly common in rural communities, but here we can buy this absolutely beautiful lard called Tender Flake that is already prepared on store shelves. Clean, smells wonderful. We use it for baking pies, and I've heard that even some Americans, when they come to Canada, will load up on Tender Flake and take it back with them because it is such a nice product. That's one thing I don't know if you can buy in the US, but I have heard that that has happened in the past. Things change. I mean, can't get Skippy peanut butter here anymore, and that was my favorite, and I was so annoyed that they stopped selling that in Canada. I don't know why they did, but they did, and yeah, I was thrilled to find it when we were in the US. And the other thing that just annoyed me to no end today, but it's an ongoing problem here, is that this stupid energy green thing that's going around is just making life so difficult for people here. You can't go grocery shopping in most places and get plastic bags anymore. For a while there, you had to buy them. You can get them for 4 to 5 cents a piece. And now they won't even supply them. There is the odd store, the Asian market still has them. They carry a biodegradable plastic bag, and every time I go there, I ask to buy 5 or 6 of them because, fools, I reuse those bags. I reuse them for garbage. Now, you can't reuse the garbage bags for garbage when you're paying $1 a piece for them. It's absolutely ridiculous. So they won't give me grocery bags, and I can't use them for garbage, but now I have to buy plastic grocery bags to use for garbage. Where are people's brains? Anyway, when I was at the checkout after I bought my lard and my coconut oil, because I use, as I said, I use quite a number of different hard and soft shea butter, quite a number of different oils in my soap. I guess that's why the boy likes it, because each one will give you a different property, and I've come up with a formula that works nicely. But I had some of the ingredients, like I still have some shea butter, I still had a few other ingredients, but I did need some lard, and I did need some olive oil, and olive oil makes up about 40% of the ingredients. It is the biggest amount used. Now, when I took my items to the checkout, just because everyone was shopping today because of the long weekend, having everything had been closed. Even the banks are closed today, government offices are closed, but the stores are open. So everyone was out shopping, and I got a haircut too. I walked in and asked the lady if they looked pretty busy, and I said, "Are you booked all day?" And she said, "Well, if you could come back, let me check. In an hour, I can do your hair." And I said, "Awesome." Went to the mall, walked around for an hour, and went back, and I did get a haircut. So, and I kept telling her, shorter, cut it short, and if I don't like it, it'll grow. I'm not too worried about that. Anyway, to get back to my shopping, of course I went to the self-checkout kiosks that they've got established now in just about every store, simply because the lineups in the other ones were a little too long. I'm not a fan of going to the self-checkout. Half of them you have to use a card, and I would prefer to pay cash sometimes. I like to have the option. I don't like to be forced to use a card. And of course there was one attendant keeping an eye on everyone or helping out those that didn't know how to use the machines, which will probably be an ongoing problem for a while. But she asked me if I wanted a bag, and I got really annoyed. Poor thing. I said, "What, one of those bags that I have to pay, or you have a plastic bag that I can get? You know, the $4 or 4-cent one, you know, the 5-cent bag." No, it has to be one of those." And I said, "No, thank you. I refuse to pay $1 for a shopping bag that I'll probably have to throw out." I said, I was in the US not that long ago, and they had attendants to actually process the food and shopping bags, and they didn't even charge for the shopping bags. So I said, this is getting absolutely ridiculous up here. And poor girl, it's not her fault. But I shouldn't have been so blunt, but anyway, I'll make up for it somehow. Yikes. Anyway, that's been my day. I've made my soap, and it is curing, or what you call saponifying, which is the term that is used to turn it into soap, because before that it's just lye and water and oils. But yeah, it goes through a process where it saponifies, turns into soap, and even after that it takes, even once you cut it, it takes about 4 weeks to 6 weeks to cure. And the longer you wait, of course, the harder the soap. So tomorrow I'll be cutting that, and that'll be my promises kept. And I do believe in keeping promises. This one took me a few days longer to actually follow through with, but one should keep their promises. Anyway, this is Tony from her Homestead Skills. I'm going to go have a nibble of something and post this video. Have a great day, everyone.